Hello, everybody. Welcome to our wine shipping webinar today. We're going to be looking at I think a very exciting new solution that we're offering to help drive your customers to using different hold-at locations via some new technology we're offering with our partners Via.Delivery. And we have a special guest from Négoce to talk about how it's actually worked out in the wild. A couple notes here. We will be recording this webinar and we will send it to you within the next day. And there is on the right the capability to ask us questions, which we can answer towards the end of the webinar or in the chat as we progress. All right, my name's Caleb Brunel. I'm the Director of Product at Wineshipping. I'm responsible for our customer-facing software and our various APIs. And I am joined by Duncan, Jeff, and Mitchell. I'll let introduce themselves here shortly. Duncan, take it away.
Thanks, Caleb. Hi, everybody. My name is Duncan Marks. I am the Director of Operations at Négoce Wines. We were founded March of 2020 by Cameron Hughes, who has just really keen timing for starting direct-to-consumer wine companies. And what we really focus on is selling wine futures. So we're negociants. We'll identify domestic and international purchasing opportunities. We'll bottle it under our private label lot series, similar to how Cameron Hughes wine was back in the 2010s. And then about 2 months after our customers purchase the wines, we ship them to them. So we had rapid growth, $12 a bottle Napa Cabernet right up in the times is what kind of got our company started. And ever since then, it's just been a rocket ship, and we've been building it as we fly it. So it's a blast. I'll pass it over to Mitchell and Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for coming, Duncan.
Let me go next. Mitchell Nikitin, CEO and one of the co-founders of Via.Delivery. About 15 years in supply chain, logistics, e-commerce space, and prior to that, I was in tech. I was a software developer for a company called RingCentral. So the company we are working on right now on this entire project is called Via.Delivery. And in a nutshell, Via.Delivery is a technical solution, technical platform to enable buy online, pick up anywhere experience for online retailers, direct to consumers, wineries, etc. So the way to think about it is, for example, if you are Walmart or Target, you can benefit from something that is called buy online, pick up in store, which is you take the order from your checkout and you enable your consumers to pick it up from your local store, right? If you think of yourself as Amazon, well, Amazon has an opportunity to present and to utilize the locker hub network. I'm sure you've seen a couple of them, like these yellow lockers. They're usually in Safeway, 7-Eleven kind of locations. But if you're direct-to-consumer brand, online retailer, winery who does not necessarily have a network of 10,000 brick-and-mortar stores, that's where buy online, pick up anywhere experience is probably the best fit for you to match a customer experience with those bigger guys. So if you jump to the next slide, Caleb, I wanted to show that as of right now, there's about 28,000 pickup locations nationwide across the US that are capable to be utilized as a pickup locations for wine consumers. Those pickup locations are Walgreens pharmacies, Dollar General stores, FedEx offices, UPS offices. And generally speaking, the network is as big as there is at least one pickup location in 5 miles radius from 92% of the US population. So basically, it's everywhere, and almost every single consumer can now utilize this network as a network of pickup location. If we switch now to the next slide, usually the process of pickup looks as follows. You come, for example, to your local Walgreens, and on the next slide, you will see how you should go to the dedicated register. In Walgreens, that would be like the register that serves photo shooting purposes and other additional services. Present your ID with a proper age, of course, and sign in on a small Zebra device that you will be given, you will get your wine deliveries. As simple as that. You will not need to wait anymore for a courier to come. You will not have to stay at home. Your package is not going to be like a subject of multiple delivery attempts, etc. So you, as a customer, would be able to control the way how you will receive your package. And basically, the next slide, please, Caleb. And basically, on our side, as Via.Delivery, what we do, we enable a visibility of this shipping option to every consumer through the checkout. And behind the scene, we also deal with the proximity analytics, like we don't want to present a customer in California pickup location in New Jersey. Right? We deal with state limitations, specifically if you are holding licenses for some certain states and do not have those for other states. Well, this is where we will not present pickup location on this checkout. We deal with weight limitations because all these pickup locations, they have different limits for maximum weight. We deal with product categories. If it's, for example, spirits, they are not accepted in FedEx network, Walgreens, etc. And we deal with carrier preferences. So if you want your package to be shipped through UPS network or FedEx network, we can easily combine those two networks in one simple checkout or in one simple map and give a customer even more choice from the perspective of how he or she wants to utilize this pickup location experience. So that's pretty much it, and I'll probably pass it back to Caleb.
Excellent, thank you. Well, just a little bit backing up really here, a little bit about Wineshipping. We're the largest direct-to-consumer alcohol third-party fulfillment service in the United States, but wide network across the country, conveniently situated to provide excellent fulfillment services to consumers, and fundamentally to protect your brand and ensure that every time we send a package on your behalf, that it's a delightful experience for the end customer, whether that's navigating weather or logistics problems or all of the different forces that make this job tough. We're there to protect your brand and offer an excellent service. Last year, we got together at Wineshipping and decided what our company stood for. Those three things are unity, simplicity, and fun. Unity, we stand with our customers and our entire company to provide, our service and protect the brands. Simplicity, logistics can be really complicated, but we want to make it simpler and more human. And I think today we'll really do a good job of showing how that's possible, of using technology to offer you all easy to use solutions that solve a really hard problem. And then fun, we do hope to continue to enjoy the fact that direct to consumer alcohol and wine specifically is supposed to be fun. We want to keep that part of what we do here. So the agenda, we want to start with just a bit of an intro about why you would want to use carrier hold locations and how they can benefit you and the end consumer. We'll then look specifically at how the solution works and how you would leverage it. And then Duncan is going to talk about the benefits Négoce found in adopting it and what that might be like for your businesses. So what is a hold location? These are various different either FedEx or UPS access points or their partners. So they're different physical locations around the country that will accept shipments and hold them on the behalf of the consumer until they arrive. So in general, it follows a pretty familiar flow to how shipping works. The customer would still place the order, but instead of picking their home address, they would pick a convenient location near them. We'll show you how that works more specifically in a second, but they would pick a convenient location near them, like a Walgreens or a FedEx office or a Dollar General. And then that shipment would be packed and moved to that location where they would then be notified by text or email or other mechanisms that they can come up and pick that wine. It's a very wide network, as you can see here. 28,000 locations that we can use to deliver alcohol to across the country. So it's very likely that we can find a place that's near and close to the end consumer. I think there are a lot of different benefits to using the hold locations. The thing we're all very familiar with is the challenge of needing the 21-year-old signature and the 3 deliveries and the returns. So this is excellently situated to give people both more time and less pressure to be at home at a certain time of day. I know personally, just with my own friends and family, you have people that you want to send wine to that may, never be home during working hours, and a solution like this is perfect for them. It allows them to receive the wine to a location and pick it up at a much wider range of times, like on the weekends or at nights, that are more convenient for them. Additionally, there's more convenience and security. We can safeguard the wine from adverse weather conditions. Obviously, having the wine go out in a truck where it's out in the hot weather in a city right now for hours can have negative impacts, whereas these hold locations are almost universally air conditioned and the packages get there in a much more straightforward manner. Can also be just a very positive and reliable and consistent experience for the consumer. Once they build confidence in one of these holdout locations, that's something that they can continue to rely on indefinitely and know that this is a secure, reliable, consistent way to get their products over and over again. All right, well, I'm going to hand this part over to Via.Delivery to talk a little bit more about how we came together and solved this problem.
Hey, thanks, Caleb. You can switch to the next screen as well. Yep. So I'll do a quick intro of myself. I'm Jeff Masick. Pleasure to meet everybody. I'm 30 years into supply chain specifically. 20 of those years I was at a very large retailer, ran their fulfillment and the replenishment into their store locations, and sort of how I came about, obviously, through this relationship here is Mitchell and I met as he was bringing this solution into the United States and was looking for some help in terms of scaling up this particular application. And just a little history here for everybody. These networks have actually been around since 2017, but really haven't been taken advantage of. And part of that is to take advantage of the networks, you really need to be able to integrate the networks into your checkout. For many of you who probably know customers all the time that are redirecting through redirect applications that both UPS and FedEx have, it's all good, it works, it's on the back side of things. But what we're trying to do and what we've done successfully here is we've been able to put a solution in place that lets the customer understand that option right up front. So on that checkout, based on what they think is going to happen in their lives, whether it be in the next 7 to 10 days or over the next few months, depending on when their product's going to ship from places like Négoce, they have the ability to further understand and make decisions then as to whether or not they want to ship it to their home and wait for the driver for signature and otherwise, or obviously ship to one of these locations. So enabling this, right, obviously it does give the customer choice and convenience and certainly security. It certainly is already proving to avoid losses due to redeliveries and failed delivery attempts. And it's certainly safe, obviously, from a wine perspective, specifically when you think about what happens after you're not at home and you're not there to sign. It goes back to that local hub. The local hub handles it another couple of times. It's probably sitting on trailers, depending on where you live, obviously. Weather conditions and otherwise would have adverse effects on the product. Caleb, can you switch?
Yeah.
Thank you. So how it works, we sort of talked about it a little bit, but we'll take you step by step here. We integrate, as we said, into the checkout. We'll show you in a little bit here the technologies that we integrate to. We are continuing to build integrations to other solutions. So for anybody that's on the call, that would like us to integrate to something else, please, reach out and let us know. And whether it's direct APIs or other solutions that we need to integrate to, we certainly are more than willing to do that. Customer, as they see it on the checkout, will add wines into their cart and make the decision that they want to ship to one of these locations close to the proximity of the shipping address with which they entered. Upon them making the selection of that particular location, they will go through the checkout process. And then from there, obviously, based on, making a decision to ship it to one of these particular locations, a lot of mechanics behind the scenes through Via.Delivery and Wineshipping.com take place, in which things like on the left-hand side of the screen, the appropriate attributed labels are created so that obviously the packages can not only be received at these locations, but also can be interpreted as a package in which a customer is waiting for, as opposed to the potential mix-up of packages coming to these stores where the store might think it's their own merchandise. And Caleb, I'll take a second here and just, ask if you want to say anything about specifically the label and the behind-the-scenes mechanics on your side about what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is some extra metadata that gets pushed, from Via.Delivery to Wineshipping, and it does allow us to print the label in a unique way that both benefits primarily the end consumer. It makes sure that if they have UPS or FedEx accounts, that they'll be able to reach out and contact them directly, that they'll get that correspondence from them right away, whereas otherwise that would be disconnected. And then the other benefit to what Jeff just said, it lets the store know that this is an official shipment and that they shouldn't be charging any fees or additional charges, which may have happened to people in the past when they're just typing out the address themselves. So we print this special label, and it really ensures a smooth and higher end consumer experience on the other end.
Great, thanks. Let's go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So a little bit about the tech for everybody, and we won't get into it in a lot of detail, but what you can see here over on the left-hand side are the different type of checkout solutions that we are integrated to, Shopify Plus, Shopify, BigCommerce, Salesforce, Ecwid, WordPress, etc. And of course, as I said before, we can do direct APIs to certain types of solutions that are more custom. As the data obviously is retrieved from that particular order coming off of one of these particular sites, that information, as we said before, is passed on to wineshipping.com, and at the same time Via.Delivery holds on to certain elements of information. Label gets created, picked, packed, and shipped obviously from one of the fulfillment centers of wineshipping.com. And in this particular case, and in Duncan's case, he asked, and he's going to talk a little bit about it later, he asked for both of the carriers to be available to his customers. Some have preferences for FedEx and some have preferences for UPS. So we furnished obviously both of those to his customers to select from. From there, obviously, on the checkout, we give the customers the ability to select from the available locations that they would like to have it shipped to. And then from there, the package, as it moves, we pick up messaging that we got from Caleb and team about the tracking ID information. And we start to communicate and not overlap, but start to communicate with the customer upon the package arriving at the location. And I'll take you a little bit more into that as we get into the next slide, but it's sort of full 360, take the order, communicate to the customer when it gets there. Interestingly enough, just a little information about why customers are choosing it. One of the things that we do with the application is we ask the customer after they pick up the package why they actually chose a solution. And what you'll find is probably somewhat obvious to everybody here that 79% of all the customers that are surveyed, and we do get a pretty decent survey back in terms of percentage of participants, indicate it's all about convenience for all the obvious reasons you all know. I think what's also interesting is just some of the ancillary thoughts that people have around theft at 6%, privacy and gifting. You know what, they probably don't want the box at the house, you know, when the husband or wife or someone comes in, so they'll leave it at the Walgreens or somewhere like that for a few days, so they can get over there and pick it up and obviously store it in their car, if you will, for some period of time or somewhere else, so that you know, whomever it is that they're gifting for doesn't see it. Eco-friendly is quite interesting, and I think picking up in momentum. More and more these types of solutions are out there because for the obvious reasons, what you're doing is you're minimizing that final mile distance and those final miles overall, because multiple packages in most cases are being delivered to these delivery points. So for those that are, you know, becoming more and more conscious about the eco-friendly environment, some are telling us about it, and that's great. Cost effectiveness on some of it, they believe it's more cost effective than delivering to their homes. And then faster delivery. There is more than a perception out there that because there in some cases is not an additional handoff at destination terminals for a home delivery van, that these do actually get to these locations slightly faster. I would say in most cases probably about a day. Caleb?
That's a really interesting point about the eco-friendly approach, Jeff. I've read some reports recently about the impact of logistics on carbon output, and a significant part of it is, you know, that last mile to the person. I think that'll be really interesting over time to see.
Yeah, Mitchell and I have been tracking this for a while. He may have a you know, a point or two that he might want to say here about that percentage, you know, of the cost or of the, you know, the eco portion of this that is on that particular final mile piece. Mitchell, anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So we tried to estimate like in how much of a CO2 emission you can save by shipping to pickup location versus shipping to customer's home address. So the easy answer would be like, hey, if instead of shipping to 5 different customers' address, you ship to 1 pickup location, well, you produce 5 times less of CO2.
Wow.
But here comes the question how customers are getting to those pickup locations in the first place to pick up their packages. Because if they're taking the F-150 pickup truck or like 15 miles drive, well, maybe they generate even more CO2 emissions comparing to what FedEx truck would do, right? So, but we also factored like other things into it. If you think about this pickup being a part of just a regular commute for a customer, so he would just pass by this pickup location anyway. Or alternatively, he or she would just go to this specific Walgreens for other purposes, like buying pharmaceuticals or anything like that. Then the additional CO2 emission would not be produced. Now, if a customer lives in metropolitan areas, so it could be like a walking distance or a bicycling distance for a customer to go there, and that's how like the CO2 emission will be saved. Now, all factors combined, we built like a couple of mathematical models about it, matched our results with somewhat what we received from recent studies in the UK, and we are now can say that in general, you can expect about 50% of CO2 emission being saved from the last mile delivery leg if a local pickup would be used. So it's not divided by 5, but it's pretty substantial. Almost half of the emission could be saved. And we are keep working on this model. But at the same time, if any consumer wants to make it a greener option specifically for himself or herself, right? Well, they can always use one of those options, like do a walking distance, use it as a part of daily commute, or just buy something else in Walgreens that they were still supposed to be buying on the same visit. So that's why we communicate and we say that generally, yes, it is a greener alternative to home delivery.
Great,
Yeah, 50%,
thanks.
that's significant.
Big.
We have a lot of partners at Wineshipping that are very focused on this and are carbon neutral and do all of the calculations and math to ensure that. So I think that'll be a very attractive option for them.
Great. Next slide. Thank you. You talked about what we're doing, right, from a systems perspective. Again, contact us for other options as well, but you know, those are the ones that we're operating on at this point in time, and one that's certainly coming. A little background on checkout capabilities. You might, you know, be wondering, you know, how we set it up, you know, for some of these shippers. We can set it up multi or single carrier. If you only want to show UPS or FedEx or both, it's entirely up to you. If you want to show a list of 3 locations or 2 locations or 1 of each, whatever, entirely up to you. Store toggles and validations to ensure only certified locations can receive packages. You may have seen a couple of screens prior that CVS was on there. This was a generalized screen that we have of all the locations. We're in obviously not only wine, but in other segments, but there are certain chains like CVS for this particular case that does not take wine. We know about all that behind the scenes. We turn things off, if you will, from an automated perspective behind the scenes, but you too could say, I don't want my packages to go to a Dollar General. And those are easy toggles for us to turn on and off, entirely up to you. Customer messaging on checkout, as we said before, this one is very customizable. We can estimate the date that the packages will be there for the customer. We can show the estimated days, 3 to 5 days for it to get there. We can show miles to the pickup. Again, working with Duncan's been great. He had a perspective that was different than some of these because of the fact that they ship future orders. So, telling them that it's going to be there next week is irrelevant with the fact that obviously he knows it's not going to ship for the next couple of months. Freight thresholds can be based on weight, can be based on bottles, can be based on basket value. And those thresholds obviously for free or $8 or $10 or whatever it is can also be a function of club-based orders or subscription orders versus one-time purchases. And then I think it's just important for everybody to note that we have daily updates of these active locations available for delivery. We receive updates routinely from both UPS and from FedEx about store closures, about store capacity and otherwise. And that is refreshed, if you will, every morning so that we are presenting to the customer the most up-to-date, if you will, stores. Caleb?
Yeah.
Finally here, just on what we call concierge customer communication. For us, and I'll let Caleb talk about wine shipping clients can leverage the premium tracking notifications about the package on your side. For us specifically, as we said, we did not want to overlap with communications that were already occurring to minimize, if you will, confusion with the customers. So we wait until we know, based on a specific status that we get from both FedEx and UPS, the package is there. Once it's there and it arrives, we then start sending notifications. And we know how important it is for these packages to get picked up to minimize returns back to wineshipping.com and to each of your brands. So we start to notify immediately. We will send 6 emails. We will send 6 text messages, and we will actually send 2 robocalls. And we only do that up until the point with which the package has been picked up. We can alter the number of times that we send these, but we have found a very, very positive result with these notifications in terms of pickups. And quick fact here, about 80% of all the packages are picked up within 2 days of them being receipted at these locations. So it's very quick. They're not sitting there for extended periods of time. At the end, we will send a customer survey, as I said before, and ask them how obviously the experience was. We are big into NPS scores. We've got a very high NPS rating. We are into the 60s as it relates to NPS scoring for this segment of the business. And it's at that point in time that they also tell us why they picked it, which was, that prior slide that you saw of those percentages in the pie chart. Caleb?
Yeah. All right.
Back to you.
Yeah, thanks for the overview, Jeff. I think that was really informative. Duncan, you want to talk a little bit about how it impacted Négoce?
Yeah, I think the best place to start is really giving a context of our relationship history. So we moved to wine shipping at the end of March and started shipping packages out around that time. To add a little color to that situation, we had a 45,000 case warehouse transfer in an entire fulfillment operation system overhaul in 17 calendar working days. So yeah, to say that wine shipping came through for us is an understatement at the very least. So, in all of that, we had about 36 hours of fulfillment downtime. There was a Monday and half a Tuesday. So, we started off on a really strong foot, getting into the ACP system. Really, we were on Shopify already, so having that wine shipping app native was just so helpful to be able to have a seamless API that could call without errors and all of that. And just the team at Wine Shipping has been amazing for us. So Caleb and I have been working together pretty much every day since then. And actually, I attribute the majority of this holdout location idea to him liking our wine and actually just wanting it conveniently shipped to him in New York. So about
We
3
just
weeks
show my
into,
location on the first slide.
yeah,
I was too
exactly.
embarrassed to pull it out, but it was there.
I know all of Caleb's favorite holdout locations now. But about 3 or 4 weeks into fulfillment ops, once we'd gotten, over the initial hump, he came to me with this idea and said, I think you really like it and your customers would benefit from it. We came from a UPS only shipping background at our prior 3PL, and we weren't using holdout locations. It was only kind of the savvy customer who knew about it. It just wasn't really something that we had customer facing at all. So this was really a new concept for me from the beginning. Now I'll give you some idea of what our customers are like, and you're welcome to go to the next slide, Caleb. I'll give you some idea of what our customers are like. They are customers who expect 3-star Michelin restaurant quality and service for Dollar General prices, right? So we have a very demanding customer base who wants a deal. They span all generations, all technology capabilities or inabilities, and they came from a background of not having a lot of options. So first thing we did was we rolled out a dual carrier option at checkout, which was just UPS and FedEx. And the response was overwhelming. Our customers, I equate it to like SEC football team loyalty when it comes to our customers and carriers. It's either UPS or FedEx. You cannot have two teams. So about maybe once we rolled that out, a couple weeks later, got to start working with Mitchell and Jeff, and we had a few hesitancies at first. There wasn't the UPS option quite built out yet, and credit to them, and within 10 working days, there was an option for both, right? Because I wanted to make sure that when we launched for our customers and did a customer-facing public service announcement that this option is now live, that people who had the preference for UPS could also, have a fair shot at it. So we just, we can go ahead to the next slide, Caleb.
Yep.
So we have a little bit of a complicated shipping, we call them shipping buckets set up in our Shopify store. So futures have set prices, which is about 80% of what we ship, right? So wine, you're getting the best deal on furthest out from the point in time that it'll be ready to ship. We also ship about 20% of our orders as bottle shop in stock items, right? So the pricing had to match, and it had to be, we do it weight based in the background. And just a shout out to Jeff and Mitchell. I mean, working with them, they made it so easy to just mimic the shipping buckets such that all the pricing was done exactly as it should be and showed up to the customers at no extra charge. And they worked with us to make sure that the solutions were elegant. We did tons of testing, which if you've ever done any software implementation or checkout changes, very well, testing is everything. And we got it to this point where we have, if you're a customer within 5 miles radius of these options, this is what you see. And it's really awesome. I mean, if you're a customer, you get everything you could possibly want here, with the exception of an option maybe for an ice pack or like a specific ship date. But then again, that's the North Star and in the future for this industry. So you can also, what we love and our customers really love too, it'll pull up the closest one the closest holdout location to the customer's shipping address that they entered in their cart. But you can go and map it or change it. If you want to send it somewhere else, you don't really like that UPS store, you're friends with the other one. I mean, all of this is customer flexibility, which, as someone who runs a customer service team, if our customers feel more empowered to be in charge of their shipments, in charge of their life, in charge of their schedules, and not have to interact with us, beyond purchasing, we already send enough emails as it is, between our offers and tracking and everything like that. We just want their lives to be simpler, and this solution just really elegantly does it. I'll tell also a fun little anecdote. So when we went live, the day we were going to go live with dual option, make it look like this, we just flipped the switch for about 5 minutes on a call, just to make sure that everything looked right, was happening. And within that 5 minutes, we had 3 customers sneakily place orders using the holdout location without us even knowing it. And then we turned it back off, and it was like, wow, okay, this is a sign that people want the service. Can we pop the next slide, Caleb?
Yep.
So as you can see, I mean, we've got great NPS scores. The convenience factor, like the donut, the blue donut in the middle, is the one that I like to look at quite a bit, as well as the one on the right, delivery and returns. Everyone knows returns cost you basically 3x because you got to ship it there, it's returned back, and then you got to ship it again. So reduction of returns is massive. And we also all know that, you can't necessarily trust UPS and FedEx to do the right thing at the final mile. And many times, if the delivery driver is having a bad day, he's running late, they'll just say that they had a first delivery attempt, but not even attempt to, get out of their truck and stop at the person's house and give them the package. And I know that for a fact because we have a lot of customers who write in and say, I was sitting at home staring out the window all day, no one ever rang the doorbell, so on and so forth. So using this service, you eliminate the potential for that, while also basically ensuring that your first delivery attempt is always going to be successful. And in tandem with a very hot topic right now, somewhat pun intended, summer shipping, right? So we're sending a lot of shipments, temperature controlled, ice pack included. We're really trying to thread the needle here to get shipments safely to customers, and holdout locations, because you don't have to worry about the ASR, right? The signature, it's always going to make it, and then it'll sit in like a nice, somewhat air conditioned, ambient Walgreens style setting. That ice pack isn't going to start absorbing heat. You're not going to have to worry about it cooking on the back of the delivery truck. The wine gets picked up. People are really happy about it. And then there's that added service of security where, you have to show ID to pick it up. So we have seen almost no issues with returns, confusion, anything like that, from our customers who are using the service. And once you train the customer that it's an option, they really start to enjoy it. So one other example I'll give, there's a common customer service issue is, we haven't quite nailed down free shipment notification to our customers and letting them know exactly when the shipments will arrive. So some people get caught off guard because they're traveling for that week, they're on vacation, they're unavailable, whatever it may be. If you reroute to a holdout location, you buy yourself an extra 7 days, right? So that way you don't have to go on vacation hold, or you don't have to worry about saying like, oh, well, I hope maybe they'll get it on the second delivery or the final delivery attempt. Like, you buy yourself an extra week, and that is a huge saving grace for a lot of our customers on these short-term kind of modifications. Because as I mentioned before, return to sender is just, I mean, yeah, it's soul crushing when you have to bring a shipment back, especially from all the way across the country. So yeah, nothing but good things to say about it, and wanted to, let's see if there's any other points I wanted to cover there. Yeah, when you get your customers also on these apps that the carriers use, so FedEx, Delivery Manager, UPS My Choice, once you sort of train your customer the power that they wield with their phone to take over their shipments, you reduce the burden to your own operations and customer service team quite a bit. And we have, we can go to the next slide, Caleb.
Absolutely.
One more. Yeah, couple fun anecdotes. So, we have a lot of customers who live in cities, but they don't live in buildings that have unlocked access, or they don't have like a doorman, right? So most of the time the carriers will come by, and if it's city delivery drivers, they'll ring the bell once, and if there's not a response, they're gone in 3 seconds. So we actually have a customer who is a great guy. He lives in San Francisco. He's a little bit high maintenance. When you call him, his ringtone while you're waiting is actually not a normal ringtone. It is cats meowing, right? So he's a unique fellow. And that would kind of embody a lot of our customers. So we had a couple delivery issues with FedEx. We were able to get him and convince him to use a UPS store location nearby, and he now knows he has that option. And it's been great because there's just something a little terrifying about calling someone and hearing cats meow. A different customer of ours wrote in and said, "Hey, I only want you to ship me wine from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m." And first of all, I took a walk for about 20 minutes to just sort of clear my head. And then I thought, all right, without this holdout location option, how else could you respond to a customer like that? I mean, you're really telling them, if you don't have holdout location, you're really telling them, sorry, too bad, like you've got to deal with it with FedEx or UPS. And while ultimately that is the situation that we're all in, we're all kind of relying on UPS and FedEx to do the best they can and the right thing. There is no flexibility unless you're using a holdout location option like that. So he lived not too far away from our warehouse. We kind of scoped out a couple of the different options by using the map and showed him where he had available. And now he just gets them all sent to a holdout location. He can go pick them up between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. So that was just a absolute like end to end, like that's what the service can do. And then finally, we got a fun one yesterday. Customer in Arizona, wrote to us. He said, "Dear friends, the wine arrived today at the UPS store, and all is chill, so to speak." He lives in Arizona. We added an ice pack to it, and it worked perfectly. He said, "Thanks for your dedicated work and ultimate delivery." So gratitude and cheers from Albert, and I'll pass it back. I'll pass it back to wine shipping.
Yeah, thanks, Duncan. It did help with my sister too. She's a teacher and her husband's a principal, so they're not home from like 5:30 in the morning till like 7 o'clock at night. So the opportunity for them to be home to receive, a shipment they'd have to sign for is zero. So without an option like this, they really couldn't be, Négoce customers. It makes all the difference in their ability to be able to do it, because otherwise they would just go to a wine store or do something else. So it can really open up, I think, new opportunities as well as helping with customer service and other things like that. All right, getting started, very important. So we have a QR code here, you can scan here to get in touch with us. Myself, Jeff, and Mitchell will personally help get this implemented for our different partners. Very important point that I forgot to mention is that this is a free capability that's being offered by Wineshipping. We're really trying to minimize any obstacles here to you getting started. So you can scan the QR code here and get in touch with us. And we would be very excited to work with you on rolling out these buy online, pick up anywhere solutions, for your site and your consumers. All right, did we have any questions? I didn't.
Hey, Caleb, it's Emily here from Wineshipping. We did get some questions coming in. Could you tell us how to get Via.Delivery and Wineshipping solution integrated with other providers that aren't listed?
Well, how about Via.Delivery? You want to answer that, or?
Yeah, I can actually take it. So that depends on the solution. We have a pretty advanced API that will help you to integrate, and we can assist with our technical team. But chances are, if you are running some platform that we were not just integrated yet, for us, it's going to be a perfect opportunity to get it done. So don't hesitate to reach out, and I believe we will be able to find some solution for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Mitchell. And I mean, we are working with other existing partners here at Wineshipping. Specifically, we hope to add Commerce 7 in the not too distant future. We obviously have Shopify working and some other ones that we listed in the opening slides, but we will continue to work with all our partners and encourage them to take advantage of this as best we can.
Thanks, team. How long does it take to set up?
Jeff, do you want to take it?
It depends. I will say it depends, but I will say if you look at like Duncan, he was on Shopify Plus, and to his point, we needed to add UPS into the mix and work through what he wanted for thresholds for free freight and things like that. Overall, the plugin solution itself and dropping a little bit of code in, literally it's an hour for that piece of it right there. The back end's already plugged in to wineshipping.com. The work that's involved really is just sort of personalizing, if you will, that checkout process and making sure, obviously, that the messaging is logo to the customers. So realistically, if you're on one of those platforms, I would say no more than a couple of weeks at the most, and that's just overall elapsed time, not even time you would consume with us, far less time you consume with us. If it's a custom, if you will, app, I would position yourself to be somewhere in probably the realm of about 4, maybe 6 weeks at the most.
I think we got one turned around in about 24 hours. Just of human elapsed time. But certainly the more complicated the business, it's going to add a bit of time. But from a purely sort of startup standpoint, this isn't much harder than than adding some apps and making sure you like the experience.
Thanks. We have another question that is asking if you can define the BOPA one more time, just to be clear.
Absolutely.
Mitchell?
It's buy online, pick up anywhere experience. So you take buy online, pick up in store, which is BOPIS, well-known acronym, and you just spread it to any pickup location around. So again, buy online, pick up anywhere.
Great. If I don't see any additional questions at this time, so if anybody else would like to enter any, we'll definitely answer those.
Great.
So yeah, if anyone does have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. We'll be sending you the recording within a day, and you can also respond to questions there. If I didn't get to your question, we will reach out to you individually because it may be a little more specific to your business. But I'll go ahead and pass it back to you, Caleb and team.
All right, yeah. Well, thanks everyone for joining. We were really excited about this new capability and the promise of helping more of our partners really embrace these new possibilities. So thank you for joining.
Yeah, and Caleb, now that I'm jumping in here, could I sneak in one more question that came in?
Of course.
How does this hook into Wineshipping's premium tracking?
Oh, yep, I'm supposed to cover that one. Thank you, Emily. So this is going to work. It's going to work very well with premium tracking in general. So it does not duplicate or over communicate, right? We have set up in premium tracking the ability to send both text and emails when these packages arrive at the hold locations. So it can be very additive. And when we're in the setup process, we can determine with Via.Delivery, how much to supplement that or not. So you have a lot of flexibility between the two solutions and getting exactly the types of notifications that you want.
Great, thanks. With that, we'll officially wrap the webinar.
All right. Thank you, Emily. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you for having